Hello, this is topic 2, lesson 2, the agricultural revolution. Probably the most important revolution human beings have ever experienced. So we call this period the Neolithic Age, and it began after the Stone Age. And we think the reason why this happened was because of climate change. The Earth started getting warmer. It was easier to people figured out how to farm, and people were able to actually sit and talk with one another and gather with each other, and people didn't have to be on the move all the time. So we've learned this through archaeology, and through basically historians looking back, because we have the start of actual written records around this time. So the Neolithic Age begins around 8000 BC and it lasts till about 4000 BC. So this is super important because this is when people started farming. They didn't have to chase animals around all the time. So they also started to tame animals. They started to be able to have wool for clothing, so they didn't have to wear animal skins. They were be able to have milk from a cow or from a goat. They were able to get protein through that. They were able to have chickens, and they were able to have dogs, and other domesticated animals, horses and oxen, so they could make their lives easier. So it was a major, major breakthrough to have farming, because they were not only farming plants, they were domesticating animals, and their life became a lot different. So with the increase so they had a lot more food because they could just stay in one area. So people started to settle in villages, and it was easy for more and more people to live together. So people didn't all have to be farmers all the time, so they could do other jobs. They could actually, make things, be a craftsman, make pottery, make baskets, actually trade with villages and surrounding areas, and start all sorts of jobs and things that they did for back then. So this is very, very important. So the agricultural revolution, if this didn't happen, our history would not be the way it is today. So at the end of the Neolithic Age, people discovered that mixing copper and tin would make bronze, and that made weapons stronger. Before, they were just using bone or stone or things like that were very brittle and easy to break. So when people started to fight over land and territory, then this started happening because of the farming, and now that land became a lot more valuable because they were using it for farming and they needed territory. Um, you know, Certain people were starting to actually start to battle against each other. So the Bronze Age was something between 3000 and 12,000 BC. And we know this through archaeology, that we actually have found bronze weapons from around that date back to this area. At around this time, after the Bronze Age, we had really very important ancient civilizations, and then we're going to be learning about all of them. Mesopotamia, Egypt, and then you're going to be learning about India and China, mostly in 7th grade. So each of these early civilizations developed and formed governments. So we're going to be learning more about them. And there are many different characteristics of civilizations, and one of them being religion. It became a very important part, and this is in archaeology we start finding evidence that people started to worship idols or worship different gods and things like that. So, and it became a very integral, central part of people's civilization. They started to make laws and rules. The writing in Mesopotamia, cuneiform is the first kind of writing. So people started to making records and keeping track of things. And then people started to have social classes. There would be kings or pharaohs or people in charge. And then there were, all sorts of people below that, the farmers, the merchants, and the slaves. So this is when society started becoming the way it is today. And this is really the kickstart of how our modern society is today. So it lasted around 4,000 years or so, and is very, very important. So this is just to fill out your notes. It's super important that you read the chapter that goes along with this, and we'll be looking at more resources because this is a very important part of our history.